is Fritz Burgher. I'm an assistant director of admission here. Good afternoon. We're going to restart that right there. And greetings from Chicago, Illinois. My name is Fritz Burgher, and I'm an assistant director of admission here at Northwestern. It's my pleasure to be presenting to you here on YouTube Live today and discussing the admissions process for Northwestern University. I'm going to be joined this afternoon by a current student, and I'm going to let her introduce herself right now.
Hi everyone, my name is Melana Ellingson and I'm a current Northwestern senior majoring in psychology and minoring in Spanish and business institutions. Right now I'm coming at you live from Minneapolis, Minnesota, but if I were on campus, you'd probably be seeing me within the Civic Visitor Center because I'm a senior admissions counselor. So I talk to prospective students like all of you. It's a really fun place on campus. Outside of working with Office of Undergraduate Admission, I'm part of Northwestern University Community for Human Rights, which plans the largest student-run, student-attended human rights conference in the country every year.
Fabulous. Thank you, Melana. I myself am also a Northwestern grad, class of 2014. I studied in the Medill School of Journalism, worked in DC for a while, covering politics on Capitol Hill before returning to my alma mater and now working in the admissions office. Today, we're going to cover a lot of different content over the next half hour and hopefully give you a better sense of the university, what makes it unique in terms of academics, the social experience, and then wrap up talking about the admissions process, what you would be expected to do if you apply this coming fall or in the future years to come. So with that, let's talk a little bit about the Northwestern academic experience. If there's one piece of information that I want you to have a solid understanding today from our presentation, it's Northwestern's commitment to an interdisciplinary and flexible curriculum. A few years back, the university released a slogan that said, "And is in our DNA." While it's a very corny palindrome, I'll be the first to admit, it does speak to the student experience here at Northwestern because the vast majority of our students are pursuing multiple fields of study and able to pursue a variety of passions, whether they are connected or not, during their 4 years at Northwestern. To make that possible, we have 6 undergraduate colleges that make up Northwestern University. The largest of them is called the Weinberg College of Arts and Sciences that houses our different natural science, social science, and humanities disciplines. Then we have the McCormick School of Engineering that's home to our various engineering majors. We have the School of Communication that has produced some of our most famous alums, folks like Stephen Colbert and Seth Meyers of late night fame, Heather Headley of Broadway, all got their start at the School of Communication. The Medill School of Journalism produces Pulitzer Prize winning reporters and marketers who are shaping how we consume media in the 21st century. The Beanan School of Music is our conservatory on campus. And last but certainly not least is the School of Education and Social Policy that's really designed for students who want to make an impact in the classroom or the broader world through social policy and organizational change methods. If you decide to apply to Northwestern, you're going to be asked to select one of those 6 schools and potentially a specific major. Now, just because you select, say, the Medill School of Journalism and pursue journalism does not mean you're going to get boxed in, though, during your 4 years at Northwestern. If anything, we're really going to push you to take classes from across the board and really push you to explore and make sure that over your 4 years at Northwestern, you're getting the robust academic experience that you really want. I'm going to turn it over to my partner, Melana, now to talk a little bit more about how our students really discover that path during their time here.
Yeah, so as Fritz was saying, it's really easy to take classes outside of your home school. For example, my home school is Weinberg College of Arts and Sciences because that's where psychology is housed. And as my 2 minors, business institutions and Spanish, are also within Weinberg, I wanted to take a class a little bit outside of my comfort zone and outside of Weinberg for my senior spring quarter at Northwestern. It was a little bit daunting because there are so many options for classes that I could take outside of Weinberg, but I ended up deciding between 4. Marriage 101 within the School of Education and Social Policy, Public Speaking within the School of Communications, Intro to Guitar within Beanan School of Music, and last but not least, Swing Dancing for Engineers in the McCormick School of Engineering. So that just goes to show that there are so many different options for classes available to you as someone within one school who wants to take something outside of their comfort zone within a different undergraduate school. But as Fritz and I are talking about these different undergraduate colleges, it may not resonate as much with all of you because you're obviously not in college yet. Some of you might know exactly what you want to study coming into school, and that's amazing. My freshman year roommate, Christine, was editor-in-chief of her high school newspaper. She worked at multiple publications in her hometown, so you could guess that she came to Northwestern to study journalism in Medill. Since being at Northwestern, Christine has been involved in various publications across campus. She had the chance to study journalism abroad in South Africa, and she took a quarter off to do a journalism internship in New York City with the Audubon Society, reporting on birds in Alaska. Christine knew exactly what she wanted to do, which was kind of funny because I had no idea what I wanted to do coming into Northwestern. Over half of our incoming students every year come in as an undeclared major, so we like to say it's one of our most popular here at Northwestern. I came in as an undecided leaning history major, then thought I wanted to study anthropology. I considered making my Spanish minor into a Spanish major. I then thought I wanted to do sociology. I finally landed on psychology, and just recently at the end of my junior year, I declared a minor in business institutions. That may kind of seem like a whirlwind of a journey, but it really wasn't that bad, mainly due to the help and support of my Weinberg College of Arts and Sciences academic advisor, Brady Clark. I've had a great experience with my advisors here at Northwestern across the board. You get an advisor for your individual homeschool, advisors for each minor and major you declare. There are advisors to help you with study abroad, pre-professional programs, grad school, really whatever you need, there's an advisor there to help you. But even beyond advisors, we have great professors here at Northwestern who really want to get to know students. 80% of our classes are at 20 students or less, and professors actually want to help the students in their classes, or maybe even the students outside of their classes. A great example of a professor that I had who really went above and beyond for her students is my Law and Society professor, Laura Beth. Every week, Laura Beth had an alternative office hours in addition to her more traditional ones, where she would take us to a local Evanston restaurant and buy us appetizers. Her only condition was that we didn't talk about the class at all. She wanted us to talk about current events, what was happening in her personal life, so she could really connect with all of us in her class, which is honestly a class of about 200 people, one of the bigger ones at Northwestern, but being able to connect with Laura Beth in a smaller group really helped all of us feel more connected to her. While we do have great professors who really effort on for their students, we also have the unique opportunity to meet more of our professors because we take extra classes through the quarter system, which Fritz can talk more about.
Great. Thank you, Melana. So yeah, the quarter system is one of the real integral parts to the Northwestern academic experience. A lot of the schools that you might be considering are likely based on the semester schedule, where you have 2 academic terms a year, each about 15, 16 weeks, and you can take anywhere from typically 4 to maybe 6 classes a semester. At Northwestern, we have 4 academic terms where you're going to be able to take classes: a fall, winter, spring, and summer. Now, that being said, most students aren't going to school all year round. Most do take that summer quarter off and pursue some sort of professional opportunity. Maybe they travel abroad, maybe they get a summer job, maybe they crash at home on the couch. It's really up to you. But those other 3 quarters, you're going to end up taking classes for about 10 to 11 weeks, and you'll end up taking about 4 classes per quarter. So over the course of your 4 years at Northwestern, you'll end up taking 20% more classes than you would on a traditional semester-based schedule. And that allows us a lot of flexibility for you to pursue those double majors, for you to explore and take classes, maybe switch schools, just take fun classes that have nothing to do with your intended major, minor, or certificate. I know from my own experience, my sophomore year, I took a class called Musical Films over the last half century. Had nothing to do with journalism, my major, political science, my minor, or integrated marketing communications, my certificate program. But growing up, I'm originally from a 40-person village in rural eastern Iowa. And as part of my rural upbringing, I've come from a very strong German community where the sound of music was a fundamental piece of my childhood. So when I got to Northwestern, saw this class was offered, I knew I had to take it. So I jumped at it, dove in, had one of the greatest academic experiences of my life, met a lot of friends, and a mentor who I still consider a friend today, who taught the class. It's those type of academic experiences we want all Northwestern students to really have. I didn't come in with any AP or college credit, but I was still able to take that type of a class, pursue 3 different credentials, and graduate on time with several internships under my belt during my time at Northwestern. That being said, we also understand that you want to be doing a lot of academic work focused on your primary area of academic interest, and we want to support you. You keep hearing us talk about majors, minors, and certificate programs. The only difference between those 3 credentials at Northwestern is the number of classes it takes for you to receive any one of those. A major at Northwestern is anywhere from 11 to 17 classes. Minor is going to be between 7 and 10, and a certificate program is going to be between 4 and 6. So it's really kind of a mini major, often with a few prerequisites to get into that certificate program. So if you do the math, if you take 4 classes a quarter over 4 years, only about a third of your classes are going to be focused within your primary major. The other 2/3 of classes that you take are going to be made up of distribution requirements and electives. Distribution requirements are similar to gen eds or other academic requirements that you might have to get at other institutions. But instead of there being, 5 to 10 classes that every Northwestern student has to take, there's going to be broad academic themes like the humanities or ethics or STEM, where you'll have to take maybe 3 to 5 classes in any one of those areas, but you're going to have a list of like 30 to 50 classes to choose from. So you'll have a lot of flexibility to choose which of those classes you really want to take. If you want to take that high-level multivariable calculus course, you absolutely can. If you're more interested in maybe exploring plant-people interactions to knock out that STEM requirement, that's okay too. We want to make sure that you're getting that well-rounded liberal arts experience regardless of the 6 schools and still able to take the classes that you're really interested in. So the last then group, as I mentioned, of classes that you'll take are going to be electives. And that's really, you have full reign. You can pick whatever you want. A lot of the time students may choose to add a minor, add a certificate program classes, or sometimes if you're really passionate about your major, you can take even more classes in that major department and really build out your own academic experience. We really want to make sure that you have lots of time to explore your passion, whether it be inside the classroom or outside the classroom. And to support our students, we do have a lot of spaces non-related to that classroom on campus where you can really cut your teeth and get those hands-on experiences that you might be craving, whether you're interested in entrepreneurship or research or a variety of other professionally driven spaces on campus. We really want to make sure that you're going to get that professional development, cutting edge research, and other experiences that'll ultimately elevate the quality of the education you receive at Northwestern. For example, we have a space on the north end of campus called The Garage, which is our innovation incubator or startup hub on campus, where students interested in entrepreneurship can go collaborate with one another, with staff and faculty. We have Chicago entrepreneurs come up from 1871, the startup hub downtown in Chicago, and with alums that are really excited to collaborate with our undergrads. Off campus, we have spaces in both San Francisco and Washington, D.C., just to name a few, where students interested in computer science or into political journalism can go and cut their teeth in the places where they're happening. As I mentioned, research is also a really big part of the undergraduate experience at Northwestern, whether you're a STEM-focused student or interested in the humanities, liberal arts, or something else. I'm going to let Melana talk a little bit more about that.
There's so many opportunities on campus for undergraduate students to get involved with research. If you're interested in doing research maybe on campus with a professor that you really like, you may be doing research like my friend Bella, who researches mental health outcomes of Mexican American youth within the Chicagoland area. Maybe you're more interested at doing research in one of Northwestern's facilities downtown, like the Feinberg School of Medicine, where both of my roommates do research. Regardless, there are so many opportunities for you to get involved in research, whether it be your first quarter at Northwestern or even your last. My roommate Sophie started her research on post-traumatic stress disorder her first quarter at Northwestern when she didn't know anything about research or even neuroscience in general. But Sophie's lab has been so influential to her time at Northwestern that she actually decided to declare a major in neuroscience and will be pursuing her neuroscience PhD again at Northwestern after graduation. Sophie's lab presented her a lot of opportunities, both professionally and just for enrichment personally. Her lab grew to pair with the United States Air Force for the human portion of their trials, and Sophie actually got to present at the largest neuroscience conference in the world. That was a great opportunity for Sophie, and a lot of her happenings with that lab happened within the Chicagoland area. However, a lot of just traditional study abroad program. About 1/3 of Northwestern undergraduates will study abroad through our Global Learning Office, which houses over 150 programs for Northwestern students to participate in. At Northwestern, your financial aid travels with you, and for that reason, I was lucky enough to study abroad twice, once the summer after my freshman year in Barcelona, and again the fall of my junior year in Madrid. Both of my programs were maybe what you think of as more of a traditional study abroad program, going, studying, having fun. I also got to do an internship with one of mine, which was a great option. Though I did mine through the Global Learning Office, a lot of students will actually go abroad through opportunities presented unto them by their home school, like Medill, which actually requires that students have some sort of international experience to graduate. My friend Colin had a few more abroad experiences than most, having gone to Japan, Panama, and Argentina twice, all through programs put on by Medill, the School of Journalism. But when Colin was in Buenos Aires the first time, he wasn't just studying there, he was also completing an internship there. Over 70% of Northwestern undergraduates report having at least one internship by the time they graduate. And for some students, like Colin, that internship is part of their academic journey. When Colin was in Buenos Aires, he was completing what Medill calls a journalism residency program, also known as JR. During JR, students in Medill will spend a quarter somewhere off campus at a publication, getting real-world experience. Other programs at Northwestern, like the policy, will have initiatives similar to that as well. Though there is a lot of students who do complete internships through their academic programs, we also have a great resource on campus called Northwestern Career Advancement. Ncaa is a great way for students to find scholarships if they're doing an unpaid internship, get information about how they should write a cover letter, or review for a resume, even doing mock interviews, and sometimes students will even get advice for what they should wear to interviews. Ncaa was a great resource for me in finding a few of my internships, but a lot of students will also utilize our vast alumni network, which Fritz might want to talk more about because he's part of it.
Absolutely, a proud Northwestern alum. The Purple Mafia, as we dub ourselves, are incredibly proud and really invested in the undergraduate experience at Northwestern. I can't tell you the number of my classmates and friends that got their first job thanks to a Northwestern alum. We are scattered all over the country, and as I mentioned, really want to support the current undergrads as they go through their 4 years at Northwestern and beyond, because we really recognize the role that Northwestern played in getting us to where we are in our lives. There's one Northwestern alum I think who really encapsulates the Northwestern experience quite well, an alum by the name of Cody Keenan. Cody came to Northwestern a little while ago and was planning on becoming a doctor. So he's going to be on the pre-med track and go on to become a physician. Well, that lasted for about a quarter or two before taking those good old chem exams and realizing that that probably wasn't his cup of tea for life. So he ended up dropping his major and was undecided in the College of Arts and Sciences for a time or two and started to fulfill those distribution requirements, helping him kind of figure out what he ultimately wanted to graduate with. While filling those out, he took some social science classes in the political science department and really developed a passion for politics, for speech writing, had several really great internships while he was at Northwestern, and ultimately graduated with that political science degree. Fast forward about 10 years after Cody left Northwestern, he ended up becoming the chief speechwriter for then President Obama in the White House. And while not every Northwestern journey is going to go from the white lab coat to the White House, we want to let you guys know that whatever academic path you want to pursue, wherever you are in that journey of discovery, Northwestern is here to support you in terms of the faculty that Melana was referring to, in terms of the alums that'll be there to support you during and long after you leave Evanston. There are so many people that are here that are invested in your undergraduate experience and really want to elevate it. Now, the one big piece that I'm not touching on quite yet that are really going to make this experience what it is going to be your peers. Ultimately, whenever I talk to students, the number one thing I try to impart to them about the college admissions process is put the people first. Because ultimately, it's not going to be the place that you go that defines your college, that's going to define your college experience. It's going to be the people that you surround yourself with. And here at Northwestern, we have incredible people that really elevate the level of discourse, amplify each other's best characteristics, and push one another to become the best versions of themselves. So with that, I'm going to let Melana talk a little bit about the social experience here at Northwestern.
Yeah, like Fritz was saying, college really is about the people that you experience it with. Sure, you're going to be studying a lot, but you're also going to be having a lot of fun and really growing as a person. The culture and community at Northwestern is really the main reason that I've loved my 4 years here. Well, not here because I'm in Minnesota, but you know what I mean. Having grown up in the Midwest, some of you may have heard the term Minnesota nice, but coming to Northwestern, I really do feel there is that kind of Midwest culture, that collaborative spirit among students. And before coming to Northwestern, I was a bit concerned about that because a lot of my friends had spoken about how competitive schools like Northwestern can be. And I just want to tell you all now that that's not the case. Northwestern students are always there to lift each other up and help each other out, but also we have so much diversity of experience, of identity among students at Northwestern that you find yourself constantly challenged and learning more, even when you're not really trying to. Northwestern students will get their first taste of Northwestern culture through Wildcat Welcome, which is our week-long orientation program. New students are put into groups of up to 15 with other new students from within their home school and paired with a peer advisor, or PA. PAs will lead students through everything from signing up for classes to running across the football field during the first home game and just fun activities like that. I met a lot of my first close friends at Northwestern through my peer advisor group, but a lot of students will meet people through activities through affinity spaces on campus. Here at Northwestern, we have booming communities in places like the Shield Catholic Center, the Multicultural Center, the Black House, the Hillel, the Center for Jewish Life on campus. Really, there are some great communities within those affinity spaces. There are also great communities at Northwestern through student groups. We have over 500 student groups on campus, and that is a lot. So you probably will find a group at Northwestern that fits with your interests. However, if you don't, it's really easy to start a new group. My friend Peter, a mechanic from Kansas City, came to Northwestern looking for a place where he could learn and play ukulele with peers. He didn't really find that place, so within our first quarter at Northwestern, he petitioned to start a ukulele club. Within a few weeks, the group was up and running, having weekly jam sessions, and now they have an annual bonfire, where students will go out to the Lakeville and sit around the bonfire and play ukulele. Peter is known as the ukulele guy on campus, so maybe your claim to fame in college will be starting your own student group like Peter did. A lot of students will join student groups because they want to combine some aspect of their professional interests and their hobbies. My friend Jacob is head of finance for Mayfest, the student group on campus that runs the largest student-run music festival in the entire country. Dillo Day is one of students' favorite times of all of spring. Mayfest will bring 2 stages out to our wonderful Lakeville right next to Lake Michigan for artists to come perform. This past year, they even had a Ferris wheel out on the Lakeville. I'm not really sure how they did it, but it was really fun. Dillo Day is one of Northwestern's favorite traditions, and it's so important to the culture that our president, Morty, will even shut down the libraries a few hours early, just so Northwestern students can be encouraged to engage in the festivities. But talking about Northwestern culture and community really wouldn't be complete without talking about our surrounding areas of Evanston and Chicago, which Fritz will touch more on.
Yeah, as I mentioned, I'm originally from a 40-person village, so coming to Northwestern was quite intimidating to say the least. But as Melana just mentioned, I really think our location is really one of the best parts of the Northwestern experience. There's kind of a trifecta, we like to say, at Northwestern in terms of our location. We have the first piece being campus itself, beautiful mile-long stretch of real estate right on the shores of Lake Michigan, state-of-the-art facilities in terms of research labs, recreational spaces, residential spaces, classrooms, you name it. There's never been a better time to come to Northwestern than the present. The second piece to that trifecta, though, is the city of Evanston, where Northwestern is located. Evanston has all those college town amenities you would come to expect. Fantastic coffee shops to steal away to, get some hard-hitting studying done off campus if you need some space, beautiful green spaces to like go and hang out with friends, throw the frisbee around, beaches, you name it. Cool cultural spaces like the Baha'i Temple just northwest of campus, a 15-minute walk, beautiful piece of architecture. And last but certainly not least, Evanston is considered the cuisine capital of the North Shore. So at some point in your college career, students, you're eventually going to hit that wall where you need a break from dining hall food. Northwestern has phenomenal food options, but being able to go off campus and have world-class cuisine and a variety of it is a pretty nice amenity to have a stone's throw from campus. The last piece of that trifecta, though, as I mentioned, is Chicago. The city of Chicago offers students a wealth of opportunities, not only to amplify their academic experience and really provide them some good professional development, but also to learn about the world. Coming to Northwestern, I was very, as I mentioned, intimidated by coming to Northwestern and living near Chicago. But I cannot tell you that my Northwestern experience would have been the same without it. I would go down almost every weekend volunteering, exploring the city, trying different restaurants, and really learning about the world in an incredibly authentic way that's really hard to replicate at a lot of other colleges and universities. As a student at Northwestern, you get free access to the Art Institute and the Museum of Contemporary Art. Our medical school and law school are also located downtown. So we have a shuttle bus that runs from the Evanston campus to the Chicago campus throughout the day. So all you have to do is show your wild card, our form of identification, hop on the bus, 45 minutes later, you'll be at the start of the Magnificent Mile, which is great for some high-end shopping or top quality people watching. At the end of the day, as I mentioned, Chicago is filled with different neighborhoods, different people, and they're ultimately going to really end up shaping your Northwestern education in ways that's really unpredictable and really, really fulfilling. Melana, is there anything in particular you like to do in Chicago when you have free time as a student?
I just love going and trying new restaurants. I think one of the best parts of Chicago is all the different neighborhoods and cultural hubs. So you really just have access to cuisine from around the world. And it's kind of a good excuse to get off campus and plan something out with friends.
Fabulous. Yes, cannot speak enough about the fantastic restaurants here in Chicago. They've been getting me through this quarantine, to say the least. All right, so with that in mind, we're going to transition finally to the admissions process here. And I'm hopefully going to lay out some information that answers some of your questions and provides you some clarity about how we at Northwestern review students' applications. So first thing to understand about the application process here at Northwestern is we have a holistic review. So what essentially that means is there's not one piece of the application that will make or break your admission decision to Northwestern, okay? We're going to look at the whole thing in totality, and ultimately all those different pieces will drive your decision. So you are more than your test score. You are more than that B you had your sophomore year in biology, I promise you. All right. So when we start looking at your application, you're first able to use either the common application or the coalition application to apply to Northwestern. When we begin reviewing your application, we're going to first see your school profile. This is a document that your counseling office will send us, and it's going to give us a good understanding of what academic environment you're coming from, because ultimately that's going to be a big role in terms of what opportunities you've been afforded throughout your high school process. So we're going to get a good idea of what classes exist at your school, what type of extracurricular opportunities there are, what the makeup of your school looks like, all that good information that really helps set the scene for your educational environment. Then we're going to look and see your transcript, what classes you chose to take, and how you performed in those classes with your grades. So we'll get a really good idea of your rigor and performance right off the bat. Then we're going to look and see your standardized test score. We take either the SAT or the ACT. We super score both. So take that exam, send us those scores, and we'll go from there. Then we're going to ask for your involvement, what type of activities you've been involved with in high school, whether it's inside school or outside of school, any sort of leadership roles that you had, you definitely want to include. Definitely when you're working on that activities list, think about what you brought to the organization. I know when I was in high school, I ran cross country, and it's pretty easy to say ran 5K races, led the team in stretching. Think about what sort of individual qualities you brought to any team or organization you've been a part of, because that's ultimately what helps separate you from the pack. Then we're going to ask for 2 letters of recommendation. One is typically from a counselor, another one from a teacher. That's more than sufficient. If you want to include an additional letter of recommendation, you're more than welcome to. I just ask that you don't submit, 3 letters of recommendations from 3 different math teachers to show us you're really good at math. I promise we'll get it after the first one, but maybe there's someone outside the school setting that you want to have right on your behalf. Maybe there's a mentor, a coach, your boss. I don't know who else is in your life that you really want to have right and provide greater context for who you are. Feel free to include those letters as well. The last piece of the application process is going to be the essays. All right, so at Northwestern, we ask for 2. One will be the personal statement that's built into the Common or Coalition applications, and then we'll have a supplemental essay just for Northwestern. In terms of the personal statement, focus more on how you're communicating and don't stress as much about what you're communicating. All right, I think one of the bigger mistakes I see students make when they write the personal statement is they try to do too much. They try to boil down all that they are into 600-ish words. You're all far too nuanced and too interesting to do justice in 600 words. So instead, really focus on how you craft your narrative. What type of vocabulary are you employing? What message are you trying to get across? Try and keep it focused. And ultimately, you'll do yourself really well by sticking to that sort of plan. I've never read a perfect personal statement, and I've never read a truly horrific personal statement. So don't stress too much about the personal statement. The second essay that we're asking for at Northwestern is strictly for us and asks, why do you want to attend Northwestern University? It's a pretty standard prompt if you're looking at a lot of schools in our peer set. If you're struggling with that essay, here's what you need to do. What are the substantive details that are driving you to apply to that school? Whether it's Northwestern or any other school that asks that question. At the end of the day, we want that substantive detail. What faculty do you want to study under? What sort of amenities does the university offer that are really exciting to you? Is there a student group you want to be a part of? All those different details shows us that you've done your homework and you have a clear understanding of how you're going to fit into our campus community. All right, so again, it's all those different pieces that ultimately drive your decision to Northwestern. We have an RD and an ED process at Northwestern. So our early decision process is binding, which means if you apply to a school early decision and you are admitted to that school, you'll be required to withdraw all other outstanding applications and you will attend that institution. So at Northwestern, our early decision deadline is going to be November 1st. If Northwestern is just one of many schools that you're interested in, you can apply via regular decision. And that deadline is going to be January 2nd. So that would allow you to apply to Northwestern and then many other schools and then compare your offers at the end of the day and decide which school is best for you. That being said, in recent years, we've seen an incredible rise of applications, making it harder for us to figure out who really wants to be at Northwestern more than anywhere else. Because at the end of the day, we want to have a campus made up of students that are passionate about being at Northwestern. So with that in mind, over the last several years, we have admitted 50% of the incoming class via early decision. That does not mean that it is easier to get in though. Yes, there's a higher admission rate in early decision, but in terms of the competitiveness, in terms of the academic caliber, in terms of the involvement, in terms of diversity, all those different metrics, the students that we're admitting in the early decision pool look exactly like the students we're admitting in the regular decision pool. Like I said, at the end of the day, we want to have campus made up of students who want to be here more than anywhere else. So one of the big factors that comes into play in deciding should you apply early decision or regular decision comes down to how much is it going to cost? All right, we're not naive to that. So in terms of financial aid at Northwestern, we only offer need-based financial aid. Given the academic caliber of the students at Northwestern, it gets a little political for us to determine who deserves what merit-based aid. So outside of very specific music and athletic scholarships, we really focus on bolstering the socioeconomic diversity of our undergraduate student body. That being said, because Northwestern costs more than your average institution, we do provide more financial aid than your average institution. We meet 100% of demonstrated need, which means if you take the total cost of attendance and subtract your family's expected family contribution, the EFC that's determined by the free application for federal student aid, the FAFSA, and the CSS profile through College Board, whatever that EFC is, you'll be expected to pay, and we're going to cover the rest 100% with grants, scholarships, and work study. Several years back, we went loan free. So if you receive financial aid at Northwestern for 4 years, it's possible that you could walk away debt free, which is a really enticing offer as someone that graduated long before that loan free policy went into effect. So to get an idea of what it might cost you to attend Northwestern, I would encourage you to check out our net price calculator online. Just go onto our website and search for net price calculator. It'll bring you onto a web page. It'll then ask you to fill out some basic tax information, and then it's going to spit out a really accurate estimate of what it might cost you and your family to attend Northwestern. You're welcome to follow up with the financial aid office and get more clarity about that. But that should help give you a better understanding of what that financial cost would be for you if you decide to apply early decision. So with that all in mind, we've gotten some great questions over the last 38-ish minutes, and we're going to try to get through as many of those as possible right now. So to start off, Melana, let's check in here and let's see which of these questions we want to dive into first. Let's start with Melana. Can you talk about what your favorite thing about Northwestern is?
Yeah, that's a hard question because I do love so many things about my experience at Northwestern. I think that I would have to go with the people. All the people that I've met at Northwestern, whether they're my peers, whether they're my advisors, my professors, alumni, it's just, there's so many great people affiliated with Northwestern. I think a lot of that comes with the academic flexibility that we have at Northwestern. Northwestern really attracts those people who want to try new things, who want to explore their options academically, professionally, and it also attracts people from so many different backgrounds, whether your identity, your values, your religious beliefs, where you grew up. I just think that there are so many great people who want to help you, but they also enrich your experience so much because you learn so much from them.
Couldn't agree more. I definitely would also say the people are definitely one of the biggest selling points for the Northwestern experience. So we'll get to another question since I completely agree there. What are some ways students are active in student life at Northwestern? I know you already mentioned some student groups. Could you maybe talk about a few more traditions as well, Melana?
Yeah, so some traditions students will gather. One of my talk about that I feel like we don't really talk about that much, the finals. So every finals week, every student on campus just screams. So it's a way for everyone to kind of let go of some of their stress for finals week. I remember my first press scream fall of freshman year. The primal scream is, I was in my dorm freshman year. I lived in Elder, and my roommate and I kind of scream was going to happen. into the elder lounge, and we're just kind of lingering there to see if it was actually a thing. And as soon as 9 o'clock hit, everyone in the lounge just started screaming. We ran outside and everyone was screaming. It lasted about 5 minutes, and then we all went back to studying. So that's kind of a fun tradition at Northwestern that I don't think we talk that much about.
It is definitely a quintessential part of the Northwestern experience. I will say that. Another question that we received here, if you eventually want to go into business, what types of majors or minors does Northwestern offer? Great question. So there's not one path or road to business at Northwestern. We do not offer a traditional business degree, but we offer a variety of different credentials that'll definitely make you competitive in the business world, whether you want to go into startups, finance, investment banking, you name it. So some of the most popular paths at Northwestern include pursuing the economics major within the Weinberg College of Arts and Sciences, the learning and organizational change major within the School of Education and Social Policy. In terms of minors, we offer something called the Business Institutions Program that takes a look at business more through a social science lens. That's offered through Weinberg as well. Additionally, we have a variety of different certificates that lend themselves well to business prep. We offer 2 certificates through the Kellogg School of Management. So you can learn about more of those on their website. And then also we have the Integrated Marketing Communications Certificate through the Medill School of Journalism that provides students a really robust marketing background as well. To learn more about different business opportunities at Northwestern, I'd actually encourage you to go to Roads to Business at Northwestern. It's a website dedicated to all types of business opportunities at the undergraduate level. So just Google R2B Northwestern, and that'll take you right to that page and should answer a lot of your questions regarding the business experience at Northwestern there. Question for you, Melana. What kind of community and civic engagement opportunities are available at Northwestern?
Yeah, that's a really good question. A lot of the opportunities to engage with the community and give back are found through different student groups. So I mentioned before that I'm part of a human rights organization on campus. We pair oftentimes to put on events with other groups that focus on giving back to the community. There's a great group on campus called Jumpstart, which works with tutoring young kids. There are great opportunities to go around on Earth Day. I know there are a lot of initiatives to clean up trash around the neighborhood. There are lots of opportunities to tutor also at local schools. There are really just so many opportunities to engage with the Northwestern community, and a lot of those you'll find through student groups. So if you're interested in seeing more about what those specific groups might look like, there's a great site called Wildcat Connection, where you can actually see what student groups there are at Northwestern and also contact information for those groups if you want to learn more about it. So I would go on there. You can filter the type of organization. That'd be a great way to see some of the other opportunities that are available.
Great. Kind of another student life question that we received here. What is there to do around campus on weekends or breaks with friends? As I mentioned, Evanston and Chicago have a lot going on, but I'll let Melana start off answering this one as the current student, and I'll just add some of my own fun facts after. So take it away.
Yeah, so before you're talking about stepping off campus, every weekend there are events put on by student groups. So whether that's an a cappella group, maybe a theater show, things like movie screenings, even concerts that are put on student groups, you really wouldn't have to leave the little Northwestern bubble, but you probably will want to. So there, as Fritz was saying earlier, lots of great places to eat in Chicago and Evanston, and getting into Chicago is so easy to do, which really opens the door for doing a lot more things. One of the fun things that my friends and I like to do on the weekends is they're called So Far Sounds, which operates a lot of shows within Chicago. It's kind of a secret concert series, and a lot of the times the shows are put on in storefronts or in people's homes. So I know a lot of people engage kind of more Chicago life like that, and it's really to do because you can just get into Chicago so easily through Chicago Transit.
Absolutely. I think what's a really great part of the Northwestern student experience is the fact that we're also a Division I sports school. All right, we're a member of the Big Ten Conference. We constantly have different sporting events happening on campus. I know during my 4 years, I was involved in the marching band, very proud NUM alum. I played trumpet my first 3 years, was a drum major my senior year, helping direct the band, and the athletic options to go cheer on your classmates, to go support the basketball team, to go support the women's lacrosse team, who have a pretty good record this past decade. The women's Big Ten champion basketball team is proudly settled here in Evanston, Illinois this year. So there's a lot of fantastic sporting events to also go and get excited about during those weekends and over those breaks, whether you want to travel to a bowl game or stick around and cheer on our fellow student athletes while they're still competing during those breaks. There's so much to do and be a part of it on campus, even during those luller times in the academic calendar, to say the least. All right. Let's get back to the study abroad experience. What percentage of students take part in a study abroad program, and how do those happen with classes, or do those happen with classes or individually? Can you talk a little bit about that, Melana?
Yeah, so I believe it's 1/3 of students will study abroad through programs put on by the Global Learning Office, which is where I found the opportunities that I participated in. So the Global Learning Office is great. They house a lot of things like more traditional study abroad programs, to which I was speaking about before, but I believe that a lot of things like study abroad programs are really interesting because there is such a wide range of things to do. And we do have a study abroad session that's going to be, or that is already posted on our YouTube channel. So if you still have questions after this brief explanation, feel free to check that out. But a lot of times students will study abroad for just a quarter. So most students at Northwestern, if they're choosing to study abroad, they will go abroad during fall of their junior year, because a lot of the programs that students will participate in are through affiliated programs that are put on by other universities. So while we do have a lot of Northwestern programs, we also have programs that operate on more of a semester-based system. So when I went to Madrid in the fall of my junior year, I was through a program through Boston University, which is a semester school. So instead of starting my study abroad experience at the end of September, I went more at the start of September and spent the equivalent of a semester's length of time, but I just missed a quarter on campus. So that's when a lot of students will go. It's a great opportunity to take classes that will directly transfer back to Northwestern, or even use some of those elective or distribution credits that Fritz was talking about earlier.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you for clarifying all that, Melana. As she mentioned, be sure to check out that YouTube video. It's really informative, as well as a lot of the content on our YouTube channel here. Lots of good information regarding residential life, regarding entrepreneurship, regarding the liberal arts experience, lots of different pieces of the Northwestern experience. Since we know you really can't come to campus right now and learn about these things firsthand, we're hoping some of those conversations will help answer some of the questions you may have and spur new ones. And as you guys have questions, feel free to reach out directly to our office. We're more than happy to answer your questions during this time and whenever we do get back to some new level of normal. We understand this is definitely a challenging time, not being able to be on campus, do the campus tours. So definitely be sure to be checking out our YouTube channel over the course of the next several months, because we're going to be creating and providing you a lot of content that will hopefully answer a lot of the questions that you have and provide you information that'll be valuable as you go on through the college admissions process. Another new question that we just received: can you talk a little bit more about campus housing? Are first years required to live on campus? All right, Melana, you want to dive in on that, or do you want me to tee it up first?
I'll take it away.
Awesome.
So first and second year students are required to live on campus. We do have a variety of different places for students to live, but they fall mainly under two categories, which are residence halls and residence colleges. If you've been looking at other schools, maybe their residential systems, you may have heard something like a living learning community. That's going to be similar to what our residential colleges are like. So more focused on maybe social sciences or STEM. So those kind of communities are more focused on the interests of the students and you'll apply to live there. Whereas residence halls are going to be more of your typical kind of dorm experience. But I loved living in a dorm on campus. It was a great chance for me to meet more people, kind of step out of my comfort zone socially, and it's really great because Northwestern dorms and things are located in different neighborhoods. So even if you're living in one dorm, you're going to have programming that includes other dorms on campus. So at the end of my freshman year, we had a North neighborhood formal where they rented buses and brought us down to the Willis Tower in the heart of Chicago. And there were people from my dorm and the other dorms right next to us too. So it's really a good opportunity to live in a dorm on campus because you don't only meet the people that you're living with, but also other people through programming.
Fabulous. Thanks for providing more information about housing. As I mentioned at the start, you all, there's never been a better time to attend Northwestern than the present in terms of our facilities, and the residential experience is absolutely a part of that. I think it's really fabulous the amount of work the university's done over the last several years to really make sure that our students are living in state-of-the-art homes while they're on campus. Over the last several years, we've remodeled, I believe it's something like over half the residential buildings, or at least more than half the bedrooms on campus are brand spanking new within the last 5 or 6 years. So there's really never been a better time to come to Northwestern and live and learn than the present. All right. We have a few more questions here for the last 10 minutes of this program. Thank you all for, of course, tuning in. We appreciate the engagement here and hope you're finding this to be of use as well. Here's a kind of a fun question. What makes Northwestern unique?
That's a good question. I think that my answer is the reason that I came to Northwestern. And I would say something that makes Northwestern really unique is you have the opportunity to kind of do anything and everything, but you don't only have the opportunity to do so, you're encouraged to do so. So this sounds like a really cheesy story, but after I went to some admitted students programming, when I was trying to figure out if I wanted to come to Northwestern or not, my family, we went to the admitted students day and we talked to a lot of people. And we left campus and my mom turned around in the car and asked me how I was feeling. And I literally told her, I feel like I can do anything and everything at Northwestern. And I really felt supported to do so. I've been able, as I was speaking before, to explore so many academic interests. My professional aspirations have changed so much during my time at Northwestern. I've been in and out of student groups. I've met so many different people. And I think that the really unique thing about Northwestern, just have some, you're encouraged to explore as many of them as possible.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I mean, there's just so much about that Northwestern experience, and it goes by so fast, but I couldn't agree with what you said more, Melana. We're getting a lot of questions regarding demonstrated interest at Northwestern. All right. Obviously, this is a very new normal. Historically, Northwestern has tracked demonstrated interest, and it's tracked in a variety of ways across different universities around the country. Ultimately, at the end of the day, we want to see that students are interested in the university. Obviously, the most obvious way to demonstrate your interest would be to apply early decision. We want to see that we are your number one school, and that's a very easy way to do that. Some schools may track every individual piece of communication that you have. Some schools will measure the level of depth of a conversation. At Northwestern, that's not really how we track demonstrated interest. So hopefully that sheds a little more light. At the end of the day, don't stress as much right now, especially during this pandemic that we're going through. So just know that we're being very mindful about demonstrated interest. And there's a variety of ways for you to really show us at the end of the day that Northwestern is a great fit for you. All right. So since we're kind of reaching the end here, I'm going to actually pass it off here to Melana. and let her offer up some pearls of wisdom, I think, about what she would like to share with you all before I kind of wrap up our program here. So take it away.
Yeah, if I had to give myself it when I was coming into Northwestern college experience in general, is to have a really open mind. I think that extends across the board. But for myself, I know I was really by the academic rigor and the academic level of prestige that Northwestern has. And not a lot of students from my high school or even school district were coming to schools like Northwestern. So I was terrified that I would never be the smartest one in the room, wouldn't be able to keep up with people. And I came to Northwestern and realized that was meant to be here. I had to bring to the table, even if I didn't really realize that I had before. So my part is to all of you. Hopefully you end up at Northwestern. If you don't, take this with you to whatever school you go to. You always have something to bring to the table, and you're humbled by the learning that you have from other people. But remember that wherever you end up, you're there for a reason and you have something to provide too.
I couldn't agree more. So for the last couple minutes here, I just want to let you all know that we first and foremost wish you good health. We hope you, your loved ones, your friends are all staying healthy in this very uncertain and surreal time. And taking care of one another should be your priority. I know a lot of students that are interested in Northwestern, the college admissions process feels like that final lap of a track meet. Everything has been building for this moment. But just know there's far more to life than that. And I'm hoping that this process, or at least this present time, is reminding us all of that. I think there's a lot of pressure put on students today. And to be frank, I don't envy it. I felt it back a decade ago. And just know that wherever you go to school, is not going to define who you are. It's not going to improve your ego. It shouldn't outsize your ego, but it shouldn't diminish your self-worth with whatever admission letter you receive. As long as you work hard, work well with other people, and take advantage of new opportunities that come across your path, you're going to be successful in life. And I truly mean that. I think we all get caught up in this process sometimes a little more about prestige and things, and that's not what it's about. It's really about you finding your people. A high school counselor, a friend of mine, once kind of was talking with me about that, and I can't spread that loud enough. Because at the end of the day, it is really about the people who you surround yourself with that are going to define your college experience. And I really hope that as you all navigate this admissions process in this very uncertain time, you're able to connect with students in ways that maybe you haven't been able to connect before. It might not be in person, but having email chats, maybe being able to have individual Zoom meetings or FaceTime with current students or whatever schools out there are doing. Definitely take this time, be proactive, and ask those questions, because I can guarantee you're never going to get better individualized tailoring by having all this individual contact than the present. So I wish you all the best. Know that with every admission decision you receive, don't let it inflate that ego. Don't let it diminish your self-worth. You're going to be great wherever you go. All right. All right. So with that, we're reaching our end time here. So thank you so much for tuning in today. Again, that was Melana. I'm Fritz. And we really wish you all the best in your college admissions journey. Stay healthy, stay well, and Godspeed. Go Cats.